It is of essential importance to them. And let me give you one example why, and then relate it back to your work as a leader. I had a student who was sitting in his office one day, and he had an attack from a Godzilla. Or rather, not a Godzilla monster, but rather a Godzilla client. He got a call from his most important client of the firm, and she said, hi Steve, it's Betty, and I wonder if you can tell us how the software program is going. And he said, great, we're just about to complete it as on schedule in 4 weeks, as promised. And she said, yes, about that, we need it in 2 weeks. And he nearly fell off his chair and said, no, wait a minute, I doubt we can do that, Betty. And she said, well, could you do a check for us, please, at least, because we really would love that, if you would. And so he said, all right, and checked with his engineers, and they laughed him out of the room. So he goes back, and he calls her back, and he says, Betty, I'm sorry, I just checked. And they said, there's absolutely really no way. And she said, well, all right, thanks at least for trying. And then 10 minutes later, he gets another call from his boss, get in here. And his boss is on a speakerphone call with Betty's boss, Brenda. And Brenda is reading the boss the riot act and saying, if you do not get us this software in 2 weeks, it will basically kill our relationship. And this was a kind of firm that this was their biggest client. They could actually turn the lights off of the software firm. And at this point, my student, Steve, wisely hit the mute button and said to the boss, tell her you'll call her back. And the boss, still flustered, said, can we call you back? And she said, yes, but I need to hear from you in 15 minutes. I'm going into a big meeting with my superiors. I got to have something from you. Great, we'll call you then. Great, bye. Get everyone in here. And now immediately all the engineers race in, and it's a major meeting, and it's a very unhappy one. And it's actually getting into big trouble early because the engineers to a person say, we told Steve we can't do this. We can't do this. It's impossible. And the boss said, no, 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 you don't understand. We've got to. Can't, got to, can't, got to. Sound familiar? They were taking positions. They were doing the parable of the orange. And Steve recognized it. And he said, no, wait a minute. Why can't we do this software in 2 weeks? And they reacted like, what are you, crazy? And they basically told him all the technical reasons. And then he said, okay, why do you suppose the client needs this in 2 weeks? And suddenly there was a silence because they really hadn't thought about that. And like blind men touching the elephant, they all started to put their bits of knowledge about the client together, and they began to realize the client is trying to start a telephone marketing program, and the software is crucial, and they probably want to accelerate the debut of that campaign. Well, said Steve, is there any other way we can help them start this campaign on time without necessarily getting the software finished in time? And now they start thinking. They hadn't really thought about that before. And they start kicking some ideas around. Time's up. Only got a couple of minutes. So they call back Brenda. And they're all gathered around the desk. And with Steve's coaching, the boss says, Brenda, we think we understand the situation. But we have an idea. But before we share it with you, we just want to understand better. Why do you need the software so soon? And it turns out they were exactly right. That telephone campaign. Well, again with Steve's coaching, the boss says, Brenda, if you need it in 2 weeks, I got to tell you, there's no reputable software firm in America that could get it for you. But if your goal is to get this campaign started in 2 weeks, well, did you know that some of the features that you'll need, in fact, all of the ones that you'll need, can be temporarily done manually, and we have some people here who know how to do that, and we can lend them to you as volunteers to serve you and do the manual work until the software is ready to take over. Would that be helpful? And Brenda said, you could do that for us? No problem at all. Thank you, said Brenda. This is great. This gives me something I can really give my bosses. You guys are great. You're going to be hearing a lot from us. And the call ended happily. And they called back later and said, we may well take you up on this, but regardless, you guys are terrific, and we're going to be giving you a lot more business. Now, do you see the arc of this story? At the very start of it, Steve got a call, and we're all going to get that call at some point, a call that makes you think your career is going down the tubes. And then something happened, and by the end of it, not only had he turned it around, but he made things better. His Godzilla loved him and the company he served. He had somehow done something that had caused the client to say what every one of us wants our clients, our company, our bosses, our people to say of us. You serve our needs. You find a way to make us satisfied. You understand us, and you deliver. Even when you can't do what we ask of you, you find a way to serve our concerns, and that's the deeper need. And he was a hero. Now, that's the power of using interest-based bargaining.